Now, why do I quote from Enoch? It's not scripture, it's a history book. Because Peter and Jude quote from it. Almost verbatim. They recognize this book, they know it was there, and they believe what he wrote was true. This is Holy Scripture, folks. This isn't just their thoughts. This is God-breathed, inspired Scripture. So, next verse. 2 Peter 2:4 says, if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, the judgment of Jude 6, which we'll talk about in a minute. Sounds like what we just read in Enoch. But there's no other place in all of the Old Testament that we learn about any other angels that sinned and were cast down into hell. Now, the word hell here is not the common word Hades that we usually see for hell. It's Tartarus, only time used in our Bible here. And in the common understanding of the day, Tartarus was the abyss. Revelation talks about these creatures flying out of the abyss someday. Notice what Peter 3 says, by which also he went, meaning Jesus, and preached, in other words, proclaimed victory over their scheme to derange God's plan, unto the spirits in prison, which sometimes were disobedient when the long-suffering of God waited in the days of Noah. Peter tells us when this happened, when these guys were bad. There's no question when he's referring to. Genesis 6, is there? And then Jude 6-8. And the angels which kept not their first estate, their first principality. Interesting that word's used there. Same word from Ephesians 6. But left their own habitation. He's reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. And you can read the rest of that later. So Jude is quoting from Enoch. And then one more, Jude 13. These wandering stars. You know the angels are called stars. They're called celestial beings. They're called the host of heaven. These wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. And Enoch also. Oh, he's going to quote from the book of Enoch. Not only is he quoting from the book of Enoch, he thinks Enoch, that guy who lived back in Noah's day, wrote it. Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these wandering stars, saying, behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment upon all and to convince all that are ungodly among them of their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed. Boy, he's got a lot of ungodlies in there, and these guys are bad. So Jude quotes Enoch and says this is going to happen. So these bad guys from Genesis chapter 6 are not the principalities and powers Paul's are talking to because they got locked up.